Professor Wergeles here, just got done with checkbox. Make sure you save your file. We're gonna go on to number 5, select. You'll see as I'm typing, I actually just get used to saving. So I'll type a little bit. We're gonna run the file. I actually always save it. Go over to the file, run it. I type a little bit more, we stop. I always save it. So get a habit of clicking Control S or Command S. Type a little bit of code, Control S. Type a little bit of code, Control S. Gotta go back, Control Z. Okay, get used to those shortcuts. Control S, I'm using it all the time. That way you don't lose any of the code that you're writing. You wanna make good habits, have good programming practices as we move throughout this semester. Now, we're in number 5, select.html. We've seen how to get text box, radio buttons, and checkboxes. Now let's look at a select. So we had the select statement here where you can select which food you like to eat. So I have Pop-Tarts or chicken, oatmeal cream pies, depending on what you like. You'll see Pop-Tarts is selected by default because I love Pop-Tarts. And we're going to have 2 functions, get select or set select. The question is, can I use .checked as we have been using in the last 2 examples? You'll see I have 2 buttons here. They already have the on clicks. I'm already calling the function. I've included the parentheses, which is important. The functions are case sensitive the same. I've even sped this up further by getting the element by ID. So you see a select actually has an ID of foods, also has a name of foods. But in this case, we're not selecting multiple values, we're selecting one value, and thus we can use the ID because we only have one select statement. Now let's take a look at how we can get that value. So I have the select object here. Once you're working with a new object, always print that out and see what you're working with. So let's print out the select object and see exactly what we have. So if I do a refresh, you'll see I saved it there. That's kind of a habit. Then I do a refresh, do get select. You'll see I have the select ID equal to foods. I can open this up. I actually have a bunch of options here. So I have 6 options. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Option number 1 is going to have a bunch of data with it. But if I go to the enter HTML, you'll see that's baozi. Okay, it's a Chinese food. It's really good. It's like a bread, has meat in the middle. It's kind of like a bun size with meat in the middle. It's really good. We also have chicken for the next one. Okay, oatmeal cream pies or Pop-Tarts and cheese. So how can I determine whether they selected this option or not? Well, the first thing I can do is I can come in here and see if they have a checked. So I'm in the option number 1. Do they have a checked? Okay, CH, they don't have a checked. Well, the other thing I could do is see if they have a value here. So this is the first option. Scroll down. I see they have a value, but it's selected at Pop-Tarts and the value is baozi. So that's not going to tell me anything. I see translated equal to true. That doesn't tell me much. Spell check equal to true. You'll see I actually have a selected attribute here, which is equal to false. If I then go and select baozi and click on get, go to the first option, scroll down to selected, you'll see that's actually equal to true. So one way I can do is by going into the option and seeing whether it's selected or not. But in order to do this, I'd have to write a for loop. I'd have to write a for loop. I'd have to go through each one. I'd have to go through that object and check whether it's selected or not. If it's selected, I need to then flag and say which one is selected. So I could say, okay, this value is selected. Or I can say the element at this index is selected. But still not very easy to do because I have to write a for loop to do that. Let's see what else we have. So I'm going to close the options and let's scroll down and see what else we have. So I scroll down. Let's see if this one has a selected. If the select item itself has a selected. So I'll scroll down and we can see we don't have selected, but we do have a selected index. So let's say I select cheese, which is the last one. Scroll down, open up the object, go to the selected index. You'll see selected index is 5. So instead of writing a for loop, going through, finding out which one's selected, either pulling the value or pulling the index, they actually have the selected index already, which is going to help us determine which object is selected. So let's see if this works. I'm going to print out to the console. I'm going to do a log. I'm going to say selected I'm going to concatenate that with the plus symbol. I'm going to concatenate that with the selected objects, selected index. Then I'm going to add a space, and then I'm going to grab the value. So I can say selected objects dot value. Okay, not node value, just value. So here's what it's going to look like. I'm going to say selected. I'm going to specify the index, so it's going to be an integer. I'm going to add a space, and I'm going to put the value of the selected index. I'm going to put the value of this selected object. So let's see what we have here. So I'm going to click on the get select. I'm going to refresh here, click get select. You'll see number 4 is selected, and I print out the value. So let's open up the object and let's see what the value is. So here value is Pop-Tarts. If I switch over to chicken, get select, open up the other object, scroll down to value, you'll see value is chicken. So whatever I select, I have the selected index plus the selected value, okay, which is going to help me grab that object. The other thing we could do is actually grab the inner HTML. You'll see the value is lowercase chicken, but maybe you want to grab the value that was displayed to the users. So in this case, it'd be the inner HTML of this specific option. So I'll show you how you can do that as well. If I want to grab the inner HTML, I could print to the console with the selected objects options. Okay, if I come back to the object over here and I go up, you'll see I have each option. If I scroll down a little bit, you'll see I have the options property, which then contains an array of 6. So I can say, okay, for the select objects options, I'm going to use the select objects selected index, which is going to be the index array, which is going to be the array's index of the selected object, and then I can grab the inner HTML. I'll usually see 2 ways. I'll see them try to select the value, or I'll see them try to select the inner HTML, because sometimes the inner HTML is the nicer version, the nicer formatted version for the user. So let's see if these work. So I'll refresh the page, click get. You'll see Pop-Tarts is lowercase here, but uppercase here. I can do oatmeal cream pies. You'll see it just says cream pies here, or oatmeal cream pies, and then cheese. Okay, so you see it's working. I'm grabbing the index, I'm grabbing the value, and I'm grabbing the inner HTML. So you see how I am able to grab the value. Now how am I able to set the value? So let's see this work. So the most common way is using the selected index. I'm going to do the select objects dot selected index. I'm going to set that equal to something. So let's set it equal to 1. So I refresh the page. You'll see selected is here, which is going to select Pop-Tarts by default. So if I do a get, you'll see Pop-Tarts is number 4. If I do a set, you'll see it goes to number 1, which is the second attribute, and that's going to be chicken. Okay, so if I do get, it's on 1. Let's set it to Pop-Tarts. Do a get, you'll see Pop-Tarts is 4. Do a set, it goes to 1. So the most common way is to change the selected index if you want to change which one is selected or not. So I have the selected index, I have the value, and I have the inner HTML for the select input item. Let's write some comments to make sure this is crystal clear. This first print, we were seeing what the select DOM object looks like. Then in the second print, we are actually printing out the index of what's selected and its value. We can also grab the text directly from the options tag, which is sometimes the cleaner text because it's the one that the user sees. That's it for select. We're going to go into text area. Now, text area is very important for the challenge. We're going to talk about concepts that you're going to use on the challenge, and this next video will help you finish the challenge, so it's very important. Stick with Professor Wergeles, and we'll see you in the next video.